The negotiation suite was silent once more, the door having clicked shut behind the defeated figures of Lav and Yoon. The space designed for cold corporate exchanges now felt charged with a volatile mixture of fear and adrenaline. Sia clutched the laminated photograph of the unassuming warehouse, its bland exterior now a beacon of catastrophic threat. Her new title, Ko-seo, felt less like a trophy won in a boardroom and more like a heavy crown forged in fire, pressing down on her temples. Jing stood opposite her, his face a mask of grim determination. The earlier desperation and vulnerability that had forced his confession about Yoon had been instantly replaced by the CEO's chilling battlefield focus. His mind had already shifted from the personal betrayal to the infrastructure threat. He pointed sharply at the photograph, his finger almost striking the glossy paper. This warehouse, Sia, is the Yoon Trust's only asset that Era did not name in her will. It's an old, empty building, seemingly worthless. My operations team, my old team, checked it for years, dismissing it as a relic, a piece of industrial decay that required more in taxes than it was worth. But we missed the critical truth. We focused on the corporate ledger, not the urban planning schematics. He paced the length of the polished black table, his movements tense and agitated. Unlike his usual controlled stride, Sia watched him, her mind rapidly piecing together the terrifying puzzle. Yoon's silence during the negotiation was the key. She wasn't seeking justice, she was setting the stage. She orchestrated my rise to power just so I could become the unwitting keeper of her final, most devastating weapon. An empty warehouse and an adjoining property. It's not about the land, is it? It's about what's under it. The location is not random, it's precise. It's a point of vulnerability, Sia stated, her voice cold and analytical, mirroring his own professional detachment. She pushed aside the feelings of use and betrayal, focusing solely on the threat. Jing stopped pacing, his eyes fixing on her with an unsettling intensity, acknowledging her quick, accurate grasp of the situation. Precisely, we, the G Group, years ago, when the city was first being wired, identified a critical weakness in the city's foundational infrastructure, the entire downtown financial district's power grid, the main high-speed fiber optic network, and all the primary server conduits. The literal nervous system of Seoul's economy run directly beneath that warehouse. The existing building's foundation is over 60 years old, a perfect weak point. It sits directly atop a convergence node. He brought up a complex multi-layered schematic on the large wall-mounted screen, a map of the city's underground utilities, crisscrossed by lines of high-voltage orange and thin blue fiber. The warehouse's tiny footprint was marked by a pulsing red dot, a glaring bullseye on the city's most vital organ. 2 days ago, Jing continued, his voice lowering to a guttural register, a shell company called Nemesis Holdings, linked directly to Era's fiancé, director Lee Han, June, the man who nearly betrayed my sister, acquired the adjoining property. Their stated intent is to build a high-rise office complex, a deliberate, calculated lie. Sia felt a cold wave of dread wash over her. If Lee Han, June, acquires the warehouse, he gains the legal right to excavate the entire area without buffer zones. He could penetrate the network at the most critical point. It's not about taking over the G Group, it's about paralyzing the entire city's economy just to ruin you. Yoon is smarter than all of us, Sia thought, a grim respect forming in her mind. She used the language of justice to mask the pure, chilling ambition of revenge. She didn't want the company dissolved. She wanted it destroyed by the man who caused Era's pain, and she wanted me to hand him the final key. We cannot fight this with corporate filings alone. We need physical control. Immediately, his team will be moving in now that the negotiation is over. He has the adjacency. He just needs the primary target, Jing stated, already punching numbers into his phone, barking orders to Min, who was lurking anxiously outside the room. Min, mobilize the black team, 2 vehicles. No corporate markings, Miss Choi. Mr. Han, you will join us. We need immediate injunctions, restraining orders, anything to halt their progress. Miss Choi, the senior lawyer, entered the room, her expression grave. Mr. Young. Mrs. Jung obtaining an injunction on a matter of critical infrastructure takes hours, potentially days. Lee Han, June will be using a legal land grab to move his construction equipment. We are behind. Then we must rely on a truth deeper than law, Sia countered, her eyes gleaming with sudden, dangerous resolve. She was no longer a captive, she was a soldier given a mission she could not refuse. She grabbed her briefcase. Jing, who is the local authority for that specific district? Who issues their permits? Jing pulled up the required information instantly. The City Planning Office, District 4, but they are notoriously corruptible. Lee Han, June would have already bought his way in. Then we don't play the local game. We play the national one, Sia murmured, strapping her seatbelt as the black SUV roared out of the mansion's secure perimeter. The drive was a reckless blur of high-speed corporate warfare. The vehicle slicing through the affluent neighborhood and onto the arterial city highway. The silence inside the car was thick, broken only by the crackle of Min's frantic updates over the comms system. Jing stared straight ahead, his hands gripping the dashboard, his face pale with contained fury and fear. He was terrified of losing the empire his guilt had forced him to build. Sia, conversely, felt a terrifying sense of freedom. She had full access. She had a clear enemy, and she had the legal means to fight. Yoon's betrayal was the ultimate catalyst. By making me indispensable, she forced Jing to give me the keys to his entire kingdom. We must anticipate Lee's first move, Sia stated, breaking the silence, her voice cutting through the rush of the wind. He will get a temporary demolition order based on the age of the structure. He won't care about permits. He only cares about creating irreparable damage. We need something to supersede local authority. Jing turned to her, a hint of admiration creeping into his strained expression. And what could possibly supersede local permits, Mrs. Jung? We are not talking about military installations. Sia met his gaze, the first moment of true adversarial partnership passing between them. We are talking about the national economy's central nervous system. I trust that your father, in his original land acquisitions, signed off on documents that tied that land to a level of security that even your ruthlessness couldn't touch. The SUV flew off the highway and plunged into the grittier, industrial district. The air immediately grew thick with the smell of dust, diesel, and metal. They were close. The battlefield was in sight. Prepare the legal team, Min. We are going in aggressively. We assume the demolition permit is already issued, Jing ordered, his voice cold and commanding. As they rounded the final corner, the warehouse came into view, an innocuous, dilapidated two-story building. But a sudden surge of activity around it made their blood run cold. Heavy construction equipment, bright yellow bulldozers and excavators, was already being moved into position on the adjoining property. Lee Han, June wasn't waiting. He's moving faster than we anticipated. They're positioning to breach the perimeter wall. Jing snarled into his comms. Min, get me real. Time satellite imaging. We need eyes on the ground now. We need to physically block access to the property line. Sia felt her pulse pounding against her ribs. This was real. This was the final, devastating play. She and Jing burst out of their SUV. The sudden transition from air, conditioned silence to the loud, dusty reality of the industrial site, jarring their senses. Miss Choi and Mr. Han were just behind them, their briefcases clutched tight, looking like two lawyers ready to duel with a military installation. The true battle for the G Group was about to begin, and it wasn't happening in a boardroom. It was happening in the dirt. The scene was chaos contained. On the adjacent lot, heavy machinery rumbled, their massive yellow arms poised like weapons. Dust filled the air, thick and metallic, stinging Sia's eyes. Lee Han. June. A tall, gaunt man dressed in an expensive, but ill-fitting, light, gray suit. A man whose entire identity was built on his corporate vengeance, stood overseeing a team of workers. He turned as they approached, a triumphant, almost mocking smile fixed on his face. He clearly anticipated their arrival and enjoyed the desperate scene. Jing Jung, and the new Mrs. Jung. "Welcome to my new acquisition, Lee Han," June said. His voice smooth and laced with the smug certainty of victory. His eyes, cold and intellectual, traveled slowly over Sia, lingering on her formal, white dress, a jarring contrast to the industrial grime. "I heard you finally broke your silence, Jing. The truth about Yoon must have been difficult, but you know, truth is merely a tool. Control, that's the real power. And today, I take your control, piece by piece." "You won't get a single fiber of this city's grid, Lee," Jing snarled, stepping forward, his security team fanning out behind him, their posture threatening a physical skirmish. Jing's contained rage was palpable, making the dust motes around him seem to tremble. Xia stepped swiftly in front of Jing, placing herself between the two antagonists. She asserted her new authority, the cold, analytical mindset of the investigator overriding any fear. "Director Lee, I am Mrs. Xia Jung, the legal owner of this warehouse as of this morning. You are encroaching on private property. Your construction equipment is clearly violating our boundary lines. This is a verbal cease and desist order to be followed immediately by a court injunction." "Lee Han," June laughed, a dry, humorless sound that echoed the grinding of the machinery. "Mrs. Jung, a new pawn in Jing's game. How quickly you fall in line. The Era Trust may have transferred ownership to you, thinking you were a final barrier, but the City Council approved my demolition permit for the warehouse this morning. You're too late. The building is coming down within the hour. Your ownership is temporary. My demolition permit is final." Sia's heart dropped, a cold, sickening lurch in her chest. A demolition permit. How could he have obtained it so quickly and silently? He didn't just buy the land, he bought the local law. This was Jing's father's old playbook, turned against his own son. "That's impossible," Miss Choi interjected, furiously pulling up her tablet and checking the local government databases. "A building that is part of a trust, linked to a major Jew group lawsuit, requires extensive review. This is illegal and violates every standard zoning procedure. Not if the City Council has been incentivized with enough cash to look the other way." "Lee Han," June said, his smile widening into a predatory grin. "Jing taught me everything I know about cutting corners and manipulating the system. Back when I was engaged to Era, he cornered me, ruined me. And now I use his own lessons to dismantle his kingdom. You reap what you sowed, Young, and today, I plant my flag in your economic grave." The conversation was a sophisticated form of psychological warfare, designed by Lee to break Jing's resolve. Jing, now relegated to the background by Xia's legal presence, struggled to maintain his composure, his fists clenching so hard the knuckles were white. The situation was dire. Lee Han, June had outmaneuvered them, securing a demolition permit through deep-seated corruption. The warehouse was set to be destroyed, opening immediate, catastrophic access to the critical infrastructure beneath. The noise of the machinery grew louder, the earth trembling slightly under the weight of the excavators. Sia took a deep, steadying breath, accessing the G Group servers through her newly unrestricted tablet. The screen glowed against the dusty, dim background. She needed something that superseded a corrupt city council. She needed a document so old, so foundational, that it existed outside the realm of contemporary bribery. She needed something that superseded local authority. She needed a national mandate. "Jing," Sia said, her voice urgent, cutting through the rising noise. "Your father's personal documents? The earliest ones before the first J Group skyscraper was built. The grandfather's private archives. They won't be in the general server. They will be in the legacy vault. There must be something about this land, about the original property rights from the Reconstruction era." Jing, cornered and facing absolute defeat, looked at her with pure, unadulterated trust. A terrifying reversal of their roles. His usual arrogance was gone, replaced by a desperate reliance on her intelligence. Min, access the grandfather's personal classified archives. The pre-negative 1980 land deeds for the downtown core. Search for Warehouse District Plot 7B and any associated national security overlays. While Min scrambled remotely, Sia turned her full attention back to Director Lee, stalling with icy professionalism. Director Lee, your demolition permit is invalid. We will file an immediate injunction and a restraining order against your person. Too late, Mrs. Jung. The paperwork is filed, and the clock is ticking. The bulldozers are starting their approach. Lee Han, Jun said, raising his hand dramatically. The engines roared to life again, their treads churning the dirt, the massive arms beginning to swing towards the warehouse wall. Sia ignored him, her fingers flying across her tablet, now accessing the grandfather's ancient, dusty digital files that Jing had meticulously kept hidden in the deepest corporate vault. The documents were enormous, poorly indexed scans from paper files, pages upon pages of legal jargon, written in a style from a bygone era. She filtered through property deeds, zoning laws, environmental assessments, and obscure historical land grants. Her eyes scanned decades of bureaucracy, searching for a single defining phrase. The adrenaline was a cold, pure focus in her veins. She was performing the job Jing had imprisoned her to do, but for her own survival, and shockingly, for the stability of the entire city. This is my true freedom, she realized. The ability to wield this enormous power for a purpose I choose. Then she found it. A single faded digital document, buried under layers of classified data. Dating back to the Korean War Reconstruction era, it wasn't a standard property deed. It was a National Infrastructure Protection Decree, signed not by the city, but by a presidential committee tasked with rebuilding the nation's core utilities. She located the precise paragraph, highlighted the text, and projected the document onto a mini display screen attached to her tablet. "Stop!" Sia roared, her voice, though not loud, cutting through the roar of the bulldozers with sheer, undeniable authority. Her legal team echoed her, waving their hands frantically. The bulldozers hesitated, the drivers looking confused by the sudden, aggressive intervention. Lee Han-jun scoffed, annoyed by the interruption. What now, Mrs. Young? Another empty threat. An ethical plea, perhaps? Sia held up her tablet, displaying the dense, archaic legal document. Her voice was steady, every word a hammer blow against his smug certainty. Director Lee, this warehouse is not just a building. It sits on a designated National Critical Infrastructure Protection Zone, established during the post-war reconstruction of Seoul. Under this specific decree, no private demolition is permitted within this specific perimeter without a direct, written order from the Presidential Office of National Security. Your City Council permit is rendered null and void, immediately superseded by national law and national interest. Lee Han. Jun's face went white. The smug certainty vanished instantly, replaced by sheer, gut-wrenching shock. He grabbed his own tablet, frantically trying to verify her claim, his sophisticated corporate mind unable to process the existence of a law so old and so securely hidden. Jing, standing beside Sia, stared at the document on her screen, his eyes wide in disbelief. Even the all-controlling CEO hadn't known about this deep-seated, ancient legal failsafe. You found a document even I didn't know existed. Jing breathed, a profound, unsettling mix of awe and renewed fear in his voice. His eyes never left her. The defeat of Director Lee Han Jun was instantaneous and absolute. The man whose entire strategy was based on controlling information and manipulating current law was undone by a single, dusty document from the past. Miss Choi, having quickly confirmed the validity of the Reconstruction Decree through her own network, stepped forward with chilling finality. Director Lee, any attempt to proceed with demolition will be considered an act of national security infringement, punishable by immediate imprisonment and the seizure of all your corporate and personal assets, including Nemesis Holdings. My team has already successfully filed the official complaint to the National Security Agency, citing the imminent threat to the national financial infrastructure. Lee Han. Jun's face contorted in frustrated rage, his veneer of control completely shattered. He screamed a string of curses at Jing, but his energy was spent. His grand scheme to cripple Seoul and destroy Jing was dead. He threw his tablet to the ground in a futile, petty gesture of defeat and stalked off the property, his workers quickly shutting down their equipment and retreating under the glare of Jing's security team. The roar of the bulldozers faded, leaving behind a sudden, heavy silence, broken only by the distant sounds of city traffic. The air, still thick with dust, settled slowly, revealing the intact, if still dilapidated, warehouse standing firm. Sia had won. She had saved the G Group and the financial heart of Seoul, not through brute force, but through superior intelligence and her newly acquired access. Back in the armored SUV, speeding away from the industrial district, the silence was thick with the weight of the new reality. Jing was no longer just the possessive CEO. He was a man who had been saved, fundamentally and unexpectedly, by his captive. He looked at Sia, a complex mix of emotions warring in his eyes: awe, gratitude, deep admiration, and something far more terrifying. A desperate, renewed possession that was less about power and more about psychological necessity. "You are incredible, Sia," Jing said, his voice low, almost husky, his eyes burning with an unsettling intensity. He didn't look at the cityscape rushing by, he only looked at her. "You saved everything. You saved the G Group. You saved the city from a collapse that would have taken us all down. You saved me from my own blind spots, the secrets I thought were secure. You are the only person who could have done this. No one else has the intellect or the motivation." Sia met his gaze, refusing to be drawn into his praise or the warmth of his momentary vulnerability. The adrenaline was receding, leaving her cold and resolute. "I did it because it was the right thing to do, Jing. Not for you, not for the G Group, but because I refuse to be part of a destruction I can prevent. And the price for that salvation is clear. You now have no secrets from me. No locked files. No unread decisions. I am truly your co-CEO. I am the legal owner of the warehouse, the ultimate point of weakness, and I am the guardian of Yoon's legacy of justice." Jing reached out, his hand closing around her wrist, his touch no longer violent, but still utterly proprietary, a velvet cage. "And because of that, Sia, you are more bound to me than ever. You have proven yourself indispensable. You cannot leave now. Not after what we just stopped, not after what you know. You are too dangerous to be free. You hold the entire truth of the Young legacy, the weakness, the guilt, the saving grace, in your hands. To let you go would be to invite complete, total self-destruction." Sia pulled her hand away, the cold anger returning to her eyes. "I saved your empire, Jing. I didn't choose to become your general. I chose to fight a corrupt system using the tools you carelessly gave me. And I will choose when this war ends, and it will end with my freedom." Jing's eyes darkened, the slow, predatory smile, the true smile of the CEO, returning to his lips. "Freedom, Mrs. Young, is a luxury you can no longer afford. Not after you held the fate of a city in your hands. You are too powerful, too knowledgeable. You are the only person who truly understands me, and the only person who can truly challenge me. You are mine, Sia, more than ever. Your escape route just became the road to the shared war room. You are my partner in this darkness." He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a final, chilling whisper that demanded her full attention, delivering the hook for their final confrontation. "You think you know all my secrets, Sia. You think the warehouse was the core truth. It was only the external threat. There is one final, single file, a personal audio log from Era's final night, that I have never allowed to be digitalized. It proves my final betrayal of my sister, and it is the only thing standing between you and the complete destruction of the man you claim to hate. Sia stared at the road ahead, the city lights blurring into streaks of color. She had destroyed the external enemy, but had only deepened her captivity with the man who claimed to love her precisely because she was his most formidable, most dangerous opponent. The war was no longer about the G group. It was about the destruction of Jing's soul. This was the secret of Room 302, Episode 9. Sia has saved Seoul and the G group, proving her mettle as Jing's formidable co-CEO. But in doing so, she has only solidified Jing's desperate need to keep her. With the main external threat neutralized, the stage is set for the ultimate internal showdown. What is the final devastating secret Jing still holds in that single audio log? And what will be the true cost of her freedom? The truth will finally be revealed in Episode 10, The Ultimate Release.